Welcome to the What's Up Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts Mattson.
You know, am I excited to be here in this one? We'll find out. Better read than dead.
And Alec Burgess.
What a communist attitude. Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification button. Keep up with all of our episodes. Tell a friend about us. Tell a family member about us. You can tell a dead relative about us if you want, or dead friend, or
No.
But
no ghosts, no spirits, no nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alec, you popping out your Ouija board?
No.
That's one thing I'll never do. You know, it's funny. This is totally not relevant to this movie. I mean, I guess there's a dead body, but the whole say Bloody Mary 3 times with the mirror. I still think about that fairly often. I'm like, I should do that. I shouldn't do that. I'll never do that. I still haven't, because I'm not dumb enough to do it. But nothing's gonna happen, but something could happen. But a Ouija board, that's something I'd never. Nope, not never, ever, would never, could never. Nope, no, thank you.
I've done both, but that's for another time.
Yeah, that one movie. Didn't we review that one movie, the hand movie, where they held the hand, whatever?
Talk to me.
I'm sure I would have done that in my early 20s against my will, but I would never have been the person. I do dumb stuff, but that's something I need a JJ to be let's do this. And
I was gonna say you'd be in trouble, because I would do that right now.
Yeah, but Alec, we all know Alex out on it. But so that begs the question. I know JJ's gonna talk about this movie, so I'm very curious how you would have operated amongst this dead body and in the phobias and stuff that come with that, because you're very out of that stuff. But this might have just been funny for you, and you just would addict with it. I'm curious. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it. But first, I got to give us a shameless plug about our Patreon, because speaking of dead bodies, I did ask the group to give us some one.
Oh no.
We have less shame and care a little bit less over on Patreon. So if you want to see some additional funny content that's even more inappropriate, go check it out there. With that too, I did pose the question, we had the vote for July, which we're working on here soon. And then I asked, hey, give us some topics. And it was mentioned that October's coming again soon. So
no.
Yeah. So I didn't commit to anything, but it was asked whether or not we were going to do some more horror movies for October. I know that there are several issues with that on both fronts. One, Alec is Alec, and two, last time Matt's had gotten a little bit of trouble from bringing bad juju to the house, I guess. But so we'll see.
Yeah,
which by proxy means I got in trouble.
those things have to be watched in secret a little bit more in the daylight, and it's very hard to do those things nowadays with kids and schedules and things. And yeah, if that happens again, Jay, you can guarantee you will get yelled at, and probably yelled at in person here real soon too. So
it's probably true.
You already got one on you. You don't need another.
I'm sold. If JJ's getting yelled at, let's do it.
I will definitely get right. But you'll soon have a handheld PC you can watch it on in secret. So, so with all of that said, we are in our final week of June. That's crazy to even think about. And we're ready to rock and roll with our final summer kickoff movie, that being Weekend at Bernie's. It was released, and I was unprepared, July 5th, 1989. It was written by Robert Klein, and it was directed by Ted Kotcheff, and it stars Andrew McCarthy, Jonathan Silverman, Catherine Mary Stewart, Terry Kaiser, Don Calfa, Catherine Parks, Eloise DeJoria, and Greg Salata. It's about two idiots who try to pretend that their murdered employer is really alive, leading the hitman to attempt to track him down to finish him off. That's such a brilliant synopsis. I mean, what else is there to this movie? With that, Alec, this was a you movie, so I'm curious as to why it ended up on our June list.
This was a me movie?
Wasn't it a you movie? It might have been a me movie.
I thought it wasn't a me movie.
Yeah, I thought I only got the first movie.
Oh, that's right. I did.
You.
It was a me movie.
And it was a you movie.
Yeah. See, that's how much this is a you movie that I give you credit for picking this movie. But it's
I'll take it. It's all bragging rights at the end.
Sure. I mean, look, it's also a me movie. Like this was a staple, especially in my teenage years. For summer, like we had to watch Weekend at Bernie's because it's, I mean, one of the opening scenes I love, like how stupid it is, but it's very relatable if you've lived in Arizona or somewhere that just gets miserable hot, like the melted like asphalt shit on the roof, like his shoes, and then like the ledger that they got the shit all over. Like it's just, I love it, and I love that the synopsis in here just calls them two idiots. Like to me, that's why I love this movie and why I picked it. One, it's summertime. It happens in the summer. It's all about it. It was released in summer back in the day. But two, like, it's just, there's no expectation of anything other than what this movie is. And from a perspective of entertainment, like if you like just silly, goofy, over the top, makes like you can sit and go, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But consider who we're watching do stuff, right? And like it just fits and it works, and it shouldn't work in my opinion, but it does work, and it will always make me laugh for the dumbest reasons and make me feel like I'm kind of an idiot for thinking it's as funny as that it is, and as I laugh because it's really at the end of the day not great from a like content perspective. It didn't take a genius to put this shit together, but fuck all, I laugh a lot at this movie still to this day, and I've seen it 1,000 times. So yeah, that's why I picked it, and I was glad it got voted on. I think that alone means that we're doing something right. You and Alec. All right, Mattson poo before we'll sandwich it between two positives.
Like again, I think I said this last podcast. If this is something that I had grown up with and had that nostalgia feel, like this movie doesn't take itself seriously, and it can't, it shouldn't, and I understand and I get that, and that's where like if I had seen this late childhood, early teen, mid-teen, and that was my thing, like I'm sure I'd feel differently about this movie. I just don't have that connection, and our audience that listens to us, this is like the kind of the Bill and Ted thing for me. I just don't have that when it's so in your face and dumb and just like the suspension of disbelief. I don't know. Like it doesn't land for me the way that I know it does for other people like JJ. Like I know if I was even sitting next to JJ, like he might be laughing, but it's like I'd just be laughing because Jay's laughing. But it's really like it's not that funny to me. Like this movie should just be like like an SNL short or something, and not a hour and a half long movie. It's just it didn't land for me. But it like. I can't believe they made a number 2. Maybe I'll just leave it at that.
That's great. Alec, what about you, buddy?
Oh, I think this movie's genius, and in a very kind of specific way. So with a lot of movies, what you have is you got foreground and background, and you're supposed to pay attention to what happens in the foreground, but the background is almost irrelevant. This movie, the entire screen is being purposed. Foreground, background, everything that has something going on, and it all ties in beautifully. And so there's little nuances that are happening all throughout that if you're just watching the movie, you're gonna miss. And it's just on all levels of the screen, there's something going on that's entertaining, funny, or just flat out stupid, but put in context with everything else around it is brilliant. And so I thoroughly enjoy watching this movie. But my favorite thing is, and I don't even know if it's actually Terry Kaiser who's just Bernie the entire time, but there's moments where you can tell it's Terry Kaiser. Like, dude, this guy had the easiest fucking job. Just sit there and act dead. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and like the easiest fucking job, but the hardest too, because like the amount of like physical exertion that he has to like avoid, like when they're pulling him, like he had to have been just horrified sometimes. Like I don't know how he kept his face normal. Like, I don't like, there's so many things, like the way he plays that. And I know that there was like a dummy version that they did for like the over the top stunts and shit. But most of like the adjusting him and like the movement, like that was all him. And he just had to be limp. And like, I can't imagine like a more difficult thing as an actor than to just be like, don't react, or you have to be completely limp at all times. Like, that'd be wild.
Especially with Andrew McCarthy, who is probably spending most of this time trying to get you to break.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Watching interviews of them talking about this movie, like, you know, they had a ball. Like, just.
Well, yeah, because they just it seemingly did whatever they wanted, which fit within the vein in this movie, and they somehow figured out a way to stretch it to the amount of time needed to make a movie.
Well, and I think that's where I love when you, Alec, that you say it's genius. Like, this is to me another case of like just wildly intelligent, stupid humor. Like, it's so fucking dumb and over the top, and they knew this is the dumbest idea we've ever had. However, the comedy in it is so smart because they're so dumb. Like, even these guys who are like trying, and it's funny because they pinpointed, even Bernie's like, these fucking morons, I'm going to blame them. Like, I'm going to set them up to find it, and then they're going to be my scapegoats. And they're too stupid to even realize, like, they think that they're on to something and they've gotten set up. And then on accident, like, this whole fucking thing just plays into like, well, shit, he needs to be alive. And like, it comes down, like, my favorite line, well, maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorite lines is like, what kind of host invites you to his place for the weekend and then dies? Like, it's like, you're
so
sitting
offended.
Here with a dead dude and you're pissed that he's dead. Like, it just,
the audacity just up and die on our weekend.
Seriously, it's so great. Like, how ridiculous it is. And yet the moments that they have the comedy are so brilliantly timed and written. And then, of course, I'm sure ad-libbed and, you know, stuff from some of these actors. It's just like, to me, I sit and watch and go, man, what a stroke of genius to do something so stupid, but you fully committed to it and you did it so well that I'm just sitting here laughing my ass off the whole time.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, Bernie's the dead guy in this, but he's not even the victim.
Yeah.
The victim is Paulie. Freaking the poor hitman.
So funny.
Who pulls off a flawless hit and then spends the rest of the movie second guessing himself.
Yeah. So good.
Going every time because he's like, you know, it's set up by the most beautiful line where it's like, you know, I'm a little rusty, but I could probably come out and do it.
Yeah.
And then the entire rest of the movie just has a one running after another with, again, these two idiots. And yeah, so poor Paulie's the entire victim of this whole process, and he's not even the guy who died.
What does it say about the type of parties Bernie throws, or when he goes to parties that all his friends think, oh, this is just him. He's silent, chilling, never moving, wears the same clothes for like 2 or 3 days. Like, what is this dude, just stoned out of his mind for multiple days when he's there, and that's just what he does? I'm like, dude's got to communicate at some point. Apparently not, though, or all of his friends are just as dumb and delusional as he is.
He sold a Porsche for $50,000. I'm just going to...
Hey, man, drugs make everything easier to deal with.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, and I think that's the other part that I want to not laugh at when I watch this movie, and I'm not, I don't know, it's kind of like the whole, like, physical comedy to me, especially physical comedy that shouldn't be funny, tends to be more funny. And that's like why I love Charlie Chaplin, like his physical comedy, the things that he does with his body and the things that they do with Bernie that you're like, how does nobody notice this shit? Like, to me, that internally is because it's so ridiculous. It makes it so funny to me to watch the oblivious people, to your point, Mattson. They're just like, it's just Bernie. You know what I mean? Like, he just does that stuff. Like, it's so ridiculous that there's no way that anybody would be like, But then I have to, in my head, I'm instantly imagining what does that group of people actually look like? Like if Bernie wasn't dead and they were having this party, and for them to go, that's just Bernie. Like, what a boring fucking party, at least like with Bernie, but or is he just like a voyeur and he wants to watch everybody do drugs and get drunk and do dumb shit, which I'm also down for. Like that can be entertaining. So it's just like, it makes me question like the whole situation and who Bernie was. And then the fact that he's got these mob connections and you're like, what the hell? But he's smart enough to be scared about his connections to the mob. And that, so he's got to lay at someone else's feet. I just think there's so much high intelligence that's mixed with so much just ridiculous, dumb shit that combination makes me laugh.
Sorry, I didn't think about any of those things because this movie is not making you think of high intelligence comedy. This movie tells you right up front, this is a dumb movie. You're dumb for watching it, and don't do any introspection about the character. But he's been dead. He's a flopping fish, and they're just propping him up, and he stinks after 2 days. Like, oh my gosh, I just go not learning nothing from this movie, JJ. Not one thing.
See, I thought about all the things JJ thought about.
No.
Yeah.
But no, what I went is, have you guys ever been around someone who's rich or seen how people act around someone who's rich? Nobody's telling them anything except agreeing with everything that they're doing because you don't want to be left off the list. And so I had no problem with people, just kind of going with the flow because they don't want to not be invited to the next party.
Well, we could say some stuff that might get us canceled right now with that lead in, but I'll refrain from.
Everybody who's watching knows what I'm talking about.
I'll refrain from naming some rich individual that a lot of people could be on that list.
Hey,
yeah, but that's the thing. Like you can hear it even from like ex-sports players.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong though,
right?
I mean,
where their entourage does not do anything except agree.
Yeah, you want those handouts to keep coming your way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You stand close to the sun, you're going to get a little bit of heat off it. So you just go with the flow. You don't want to be the one to, cause a wave or a scene or an issue. So
now, I will say,
I wouldn't be surprised if they all knew he was dead, but just went along with it because nobody wanted to call it out.
Yeah.
He had a nice place. This I will give him in spades. Very jealous. Want to know where that... Did they actually film this? I wonder where they actually filmed it, but I want that house.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I don't know where they filmed it. I didn't look.
North Carolina, I think.
I was going to say, obviously somewhere with a beach, but
really, let's see where they filmed it.
I will have to just say that was the other thing I wanted to talk about is like how interesting it is, like in our time to go back and watch a movie like this with that perspective in mind of like, there's a lot of people that are actually no longer safe from all the shenanigans and crazy, wild shit that they got up to. And then you get these like magic lists of people that attended parties. And you're like, well, how deep in were they going to these? But because, I mean, like you said, Bernie's, what a party. And it's not like people didn't know about it because that's like one of their motivations of these two knuckleheads like digging in and getting so excited about this discrepancy that they've been set up to find is they're like, oh, we're going to get an in. We're going to get our move up the ladder. And now we're going to get invited to Bernie parties and other places. And we're going to find, you know what I mean? So like
made it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, man, it's an interesting commentary now. And I'm sure that, look, if you're in Hollywood, like, because we know a lot of times the Hollywood is where all the call outs are coming from. So like, if you're in Hollywood, maybe this was a true commentary to a certain degree before we were ready to hear about the issues that have been going on in Hollywood to that extent. But I mean, it's an interesting insight when you think about the situations that a lot of people are in these days, for sure, moving forward, because there's some shady shit going on amongst the rich because we've seen it.
100%. And Alec, you were correct. North Carolina. Bald Head Island.
Bald Head Island. I didn't
weird name.
know such a place existed.
It does now.
There's some weird named places. I'd have to pull up. I just shipped some stuff to a place that I saw. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. Even the mailman, the mail place, when I took it to get it scanned and shipped out, like he was like, I didn't know about this city. I was like, me neither.
Whether it's because it was probably named by someone in Weekend at Bernie's. They're just like, we're just gonna F with this town, or they probably have stupidly named streets as well. People come up with street names. Sometimes they're like, maybe just don't do that. Maybe not. Like, let's just stick to something normal.
Maybe think it through at the very least, because it's gonna bother me. But I was like, that's an unfortunate name for a city. Like, someone actually did that.
JJ, do you like the dad popping in on the steamy scene?
I mean, it's funny because it's relatable, you know? Like, you're like, that's uncomfortable. Even if it never, because I don't know. Has that something like that ever happened to the two of you?
Oh,
No.
Not to that extent, but
sure.
Trying to think of it's far less risque, but it was highly embarrassing. I was a sophomore, and this will be funny for you, JJ, because you know this person, Martin. I was dating Martin's sister, who was a senior at the time, and I couldn't drive yet, so I was in the passenger seat of their Toyota Tacoma, and for whatever reason, and this one was like during the day, so like wasn't super late. It was like probably like around dinner time or something. I don't know what was going on, but we started making out a little bit, like not some of us supposed to turn into anything because I was going to get out. Then all of a sudden hear a knock on the window, and turn like, oh my gosh, it's my mom. Like,
oh no.
You're like, this is just weird. Like,
awkward.
Just very awkward. And my mom's like pretty goody two shoes. She was like, you know, not super happy about all that, but it's fine, but it was awkward. And it happened one more time. I don't remember the second time, but that I definitely felt, I still remember how it felt. Like, it was very awkward. Just one of those, like, damn it, mom.
Yeah. It's a weird. Yeah. I've never had it happen to where it's like I had it happen with some like personal time when I was younger, but never coupled up program. I think the closest, like, my dad used to like enjoy making shit weird. Shocker. I mean, that's, my dad and I are very similar, less so now that he's older, but like when I was in high school,
I was gonna say JJ's got to get these shenanigans from somebody.
Yeah, no, my dad's funny because he's the guy that like everybody wanted, like all my friends were like, yeah, we'll go to JJ's because JJ's dad's funny, and we liked it. Like, they were like hanging out with my dad as much as they did me. I was like, what the fuck? But my dad loved to make shit a little weird, like, and he didn't have a problem. So like, I remember one time I had a bunch of friends over, and a girl I was dating at the time stayed after a few people had left. And here in this house, like in the basement, which is where I was at the time, we had a TV, and I had like this whole living room area. And then there was like this old shitty dimmer switch, like that had like the different buttons for the different level of light. And so everybody had left except this girl I was dating. We were sitting down to watch a movie, and of course we were going to make out and hang out and whatnot. Well, my dad, I was like, basically my dad had been down there with all my friends. They all left, and I was like looking at my dad like, it's time for you to leave. So he finally gets up to leave. He walks over to the light. He's like, here, let me help out with the lighting for the movie. And so he goes down to like all these, there was like 6 buttons, and he hits the next one down, and he goes, oh, we need a little more mood than that. And like, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, Dad. Like, and of course, like, this girl's like sitting there uncomfortable because we both know we're going to make out, but she's like, yeah, but your dad's like almost encouraging. Well, they gets to the bottom and turns the lights all the way off, and he's like, oh, that's too much mood. And then goes back up a switch. So like, my dad, that's just one example of like George's full-on opportunities to embarrass the shit out of anyone that I knew, and myself included. And it's one of the reasons that it's very hard to make me uncomfortable and to embarrass me, because my dad did such a fine job my whole childhood that I grew up to go, look, it can't be any worse than the shit my dad did. So it's rare that I get embarrassed, but thankfully never for full-on adult activities. I always made sure I wasn't in my house for that reason. because I just didn't want to deal with that.
Oh yeah, never. Like, it was very rare that anything like that ever went down in my basement. I can think of only a hand, not even that, maybe like twice, or because I wasn't dumb enough to let that happen. Nope.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Funniest thing that happened with anything like that is I used to get bloody noses like all the time. That they wanted to cauterize my nose, making out with the girl, and things were starting to happen, and I just all of a sudden
got a little too excited,
and dude, all over her face and her chest, just like, and we're not talking like I got him quick, like fast. It wasn't like drops. It was like,
wow.
That killed the mood immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it looked like Braveheart style, like battle cry, like boom.
No, that's no good, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Great story.
That's the most of it. Yeah, like it was bad. Like it was very messy and so bad. Like
that relationship didn't last much longer.
She went on a mission.
Oh, there you go. That'll do it every time.
In fact, I think that was the last time too, because she was going on a mission, and it was funny. I was like, yeah, not bad. Never happened since. Don't really get bloody noses anymore. I'm really glad I didn't cauterize my nose. I was like a walking hazard half of my senior year. Like, dude, I have other stories of my nose, but my goodness, like it was bad. Like
that's funny.
It's embarrassing. Thankfully that girl was from college days, so none of my actual friends really knew her that well because of that story got out. I mean, that would have never, my friends never would have let the end of that happen back then. So
I love that the last 3 weeks of this podcast has just been like trauma unpacking.
I know, right? How is it that our summer kickoff movies turned into like embarrassing stories? And
I'll give our audience one more because this feels like a dumb weekend at Bernie's thing. So this was junior year. We were at a party and my buddy Mike Farouk, he can take claim for this. For whatever reason, I don't even know how this started to happen. I was sitting in a chair, we'll say 3 or 4 feet from him, and it was like very dark in this basement. There was music. Maybe, I don't know if there was like a strobe light effect or anything, but where we were at, like I couldn't see much. Like it was like pretty dang dark. For whatever reason, I don't even know how this happened. My buddy Mike got his hands on a 6-pound medicine ball. Don't ask me where this girl in Chantilly, I guess, or somebody worked out downstairs. He had it. He was tossing it like between his hands. I didn't see it, had no idea. And then all of a sudden, like any great dude, is like, hey, Heiner, catch.
Oh God.
Me, like most dudes, how do we sit in chairs? We don't sit tight-legged. We're not cramping. We're not cramping the balls. We're letting them breathe. We're letting them be easy. And so all of a sudden, I am talking to someone else, and I vividly remember this because I couldn't see anything, but I knew where he was, and I turned to his voice. Half a second later, 1/8 of a second later, just the worst smush. And I've gotten some really bad sack taps, like very, very bad. Never in my life, even to this day, nothing. And I've been hit with a lacrosse ball that nothing has come close to this 6-pound medicine ball. Because he told me later he lobbed it up into the air, like.
Yeah. Give you more time to catch it. What a nice day.
Just square. Like, I mean, he didn't, like, you know how you get hit like right sack, left, like, no, just these sandwich.
Pancaked him like the turtle from a couple weeks ago.
Dude, and I don't remember all the feelings, but I remember it was a long time later. I was worried about my pee situation, like the system. I had got some ice. I went out. I had like some ice pack. I went into the back of that person's house, like by the shrub, just to see if I could tinkle. Thankfully, with a lot of fear, it took me a while to pee because I was worried that I was going to see blood. It worked. We were fine. I was very mad at my friend the rest of the night, just beside myself. And we'll probably say this for the next podcast. Actually, it won't work with next month, but he got me again later on a different thing. But that was one of the most painful things. And I've been tased And that video is crazy, but that was so painful. And I can imagine that could have happened at Weekend at Bernie's. And I was never the same from it. I'm terrified of medicine balls.
Yeah, that's a funny story, by the way. And I feel almost bad for your balls, other than I would have been laughing my ass off.
Oh, you dude, my I mean, it was like a, what do you call it? Hyenas. People were people were dying. They were dying. Ladies were dying. I definitely went down in massive street cred for a while.
Oh yeah, it would have been hilarious.
It was brutal. So I don't recommend it. Don't play with medicine balls, Alec. Just don't let it happen.
No, never played balls.
You know, it's funny. So, ironically enough, as I was watching this movie recently for getting ready for this, I was thinking about, this is the kind of shit that somebody would make TikTok videos about. You know what I mean? And not have their, like, someone actually dead, but like someone that they knew, like being Bernie and being limp and like the adventures of whoever. And they just have random TikTok videos of them like dragging them to do dumb shit.
Dude, that's $1 million idea right there, Jake.
Dude, I'm telling you. And now somebody's going to listen to it and they're going to pop up and fucking, I'm going to be like, God damn it. But I'm too lazy to do that shit. But the other thing was, and then I went down this rabbit hole of the shit that I used to do when I was a kid for fun that people do now for TikTok or similar shit to make money. So, and then you're telling me this story is one I didn't think about the other day. We used to call that game, Can You Sit Still? And like, we would sit in chairs in a garage, much like you are, or down in the basement, and we would have random items and we would just call, Can you sit still? And everybody would just sit there. And whoever called it would throw an item with the goal of hitting you in the nuts. And you couldn't move. If you moved, everybody jump your ass and we'd give you a nice little friendly thumping. Like, we wouldn't beat the shit out of you.
At least you saw the enemy. At least you could identify the danger.
Fair. That's fair. But I'll tell you what, like, we stopped I'll tell you, when we stopped playing, because usually it was like a pillow or like a rubber ball or like a tennis ball or like a golf ball, like something that's not going to feel good, but it's not. But we were over at my buddy Lamar's house, this motherfucker, and he had, you remember those marbles that were like steel?
Yeah.
Oh, he had one that was the size of a fucking pool ball, billiards ball.
Dense.
And I remember sitting there, his garage was like they built it as part of their house instead of putting their garage. So there was like a whole nother room with TV. We're out on the couch and I hear it. Sit still. And I was like, God. And I knew what he was going to grab. This motherfucker lobs this giant ass 8-ball size steel fucking marble at my junk. And it just full on, because I'm like you, I was kicked back watching TV with my legs wide hang, and I didn't get squished. Mine, it like hit him in a way that it like pushed him into my fucking guts. And I swear I thought they were gonna have to like go in and stretch those sons of bitches back outside my body.
That in like your heart, not just your stomach.
I was gagging. I was like, and so at that point, like that was the end of the game. And I'll tell you what, I won't go there, but maybe we'll save that for the Patreon content. But yeah, like that's the kind of shit that I thought about as I was watching this movie going, I'm amazed I haven't seen some form of Bernie's like carrying our friend around on TikTok or Instagram. Like that's the kind of shit that people get paid to make money.
I got my friends to do a bunch of things they didn't want to do.
Yeah, me too. But we did it for fun. Like we didn't do it to like put it on camera and out ourselves. Like we did it, and people were like, "What are you guys doing?" Don't worry about it.
Nothing.
You know. Now we're like, let me put it on TikTok so the world can watch it. You know what I mean? So it was just interesting. So it made me think of that. Anyway, should we rate Weekend at Bernie's?
Do it.
My movie, I'll go first. I'm giving it a 4. Look, it's stupid, it's dumb, and I know it, but it makes me laugh and it entertains me, and it's short and it's to the point, and there's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. Kind of, Alec, to your point, that even if it's not in the foreground or with the main characters, there's some weird shit going on the beach. There's some silly shit happening in the background at the party, and then you have the obvious, just absolute ridiculousness. I will say that to give some credence to Mattson, it is ridiculous to the point that even I at sometimes go, Jesus, we have reached a new low, right? Like I watch it, I go, man, this movie it's ridiculous. How is it so popular? But so I do have some hard times. Like there are some pretty ridiculous, like there are moments when you carry them around in public. Like I get with the rich people and they're like, I'm going to leave it alone. Like sometimes in the car and shit, like I'm just like, sunglasses don't fix that shit, fuckers, but whatever. So I can't give it a 5, but I will watch this anytime.
Is this a 4 in terms of comedy's sake, or is this a 4 across the board?
No, like I think it's a 4, legit 4. Like it's not a nostalgia 4 for me. It's not like a.
All right. Let's cut JJ off.
No.
All right,
it's a
people.
4,
you know I'm a man. You know I'm a man of the people. I'm not gonna lead you astray.
Convenient how that keeps like coming up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this movie a 2. Like, look, let's be honest. If we're talking across the spectrum, is this a great movie? No, it's not. But is this a terrible movie? It's not a great movie. It's not even close. But there are many things. It feels weird to say this, that I would definitely not watch before I watch this movie again. At least this movie has some things to offer in terms of a few jokes here or there. Like it's short, it's visually. I mean, I'd love to go to Bald Head Island now. I mean, it's not the Hamptons, so let's not get confused, but it looked dang cool. This isn't a good movie. Do I want to watch this movie? I can't believe they made a number 2. It must have made enough money. Like, heaven forbid I'll ever watch number 2. And now I'm doing this podcast. That's probably a death sentence.
Careful, but there are people listening.
Gosh, it's a subpar movie. But JJ apparently likes subpar movies, and they get 4. So, like, should we? I don't know how we, in good conscience, listen to his rating system. I just don't know. Like, this is Bill and Ted humor. JJ gets blinded. I think we understand.
This guy. All right, Alec.
And we probably shouldn't listen to Alec either, because we know
the strength of the majority is the strength of the people.
If this movie was in black and white, this would have been a 5. This would have been a masterpiece in Alec's eyes.
Hey,
so,
he may still give it a 5, so be careful. I was going to say.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I'm unhinged and crazy. No, it's a 4. I'm with JJ. This is a brilliant movie, and I love it. And I think that it comes from a lot of the little things. Like, I crack up when Andrew McCarthy throws Bernie on the dolly, and it's just wheeling him around. and because it's happening in the background. It's happening in the background where he lays him down the dolly, straps his ass down, and just, like, skips across the pool deck with wheeling him. Or you've got, attaching the string, and he's got his whole setup going, and it's just enjoyable because you're like, why would you ever do that? But at the same time, if you were Andrew McCarthy, you're thinking of all the ideas of how can I keep this going for as long as possible. And 100%, that's one that you would think of.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy it. It makes me laugh. It is a very good movie. And I think majority rules on this one. But yeah, it's a 4. It's a 4 for me.
Yeah. You don't think John Hughes didn't get some inspiration for Home Alone when he's got the strings and he's doing all like the sing-alongs and shit in the windows? Oh yeah, he was like, oh, look at this shit. I know what I'm doing. He put that shit in there on purpose.
Yeah, let's look up what y'all rated Home Alone. Like, you probably rated it worse than this movie. That feels like a freaking cardinal sin.
I don't think so. I think we rated Home Alone
I wasn't on for Home Alone.
I don't remember, but I would imagine I love Home Alone, so
man,
I bet I gave it real high.
I might have to break off and do this on my own. I'm gonna save the people.
Oh, we know that won't happen.
No.
I have a hard enough time wrangling the two of you fuckers for this shit as it is. And then lately I'm the problem. So it's just like we're a shit show waiting to happen. None of us are going solo. Who are you kidding? And with that, Alec, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us when they're not listening to our ridiculousness?
Absolutely. So my spinoff podcast, since I'm ditching these two jerks. No, it's like JJ said, Patreon is the best place to get in contact, get a part of the content, vote on the movies I put out. Like I've said before on all this month, the votes really matter to us. Like it's pure bagging rights to get our movies picked. So
yeah, don't
you
pick
go
trash.
out there, you go pick, you deny Mattson the ability to watch his stupid ass movies. It is nothing but shit show, fun, going back and forth. So Patreon's the place to get involved there. Best place to watch us on YouTube, so you can see Mattson's raised eyebrow as he's like, "What am I doing?"
Should have ate during this whole freaking
Just
podcast,
believe this
Brad,
is
like
stupid.
Brad Pitt and Oceans, all the Oceans movies. Like, come on now,
making irrelevant comparisons. It's perfect. That's what YouTube's for.
I'm just providing fuel to the brain and making objective decisions here, unlike my co-hosts.
Okay. YouTube's a place to watch us. Patreon's a place to get involved. With that, let's thank our two patrons that I know of, CB and Rich. I don't know, Charles changes his name all the time, but they're the ones currently that are holding all the power in the choices. So if you don't like the content we're putting out, remember, it's not our fault. With that, I'll kick it back to the King of Crash, the Colossus of Clout, JJ.
That's right. Appreciate it. And we're just done with this one. So with that, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Guys, next one will be better. Just trust me. Bye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Send magic out.
Whoa!